The question of the day, as it relates to martial arts, is this, coming from me to you, is is sport karate real fighting? Well, those that are Bruce Lee haters seem to think so. Let's look at it just for a moment. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it either because it's really a no-brainer. Now, let me qualify something. By no means am I demeaning anyone that is a sports karate or kung fu or some other martial arts practitioner on a sporting level. I'm not putting anyone down. But let's just be honest. Let's be truthful. Street fights have no rules. Real fighting has no rules at all. It is go for what you know and hope that you survive. In a sporting event, you have a time clock, a referee or judge, several judges sometimes, and you have rules and regulations. For instance, no gouging to the eyes, no hitting in the throat, no biting, no gouging the body, period. No striking in the groin, no striking beneath the belt line in the knees or the ankles. Those are rules that you won't find in a street fight. So why is it so hard, so difficult for the people that have said that Bruce Lee was not a real fighter to believe that he was a real fighter when they are just simply sports karate fighters? I mean, can you accurately define a fighter in sports? You really can't, because there's restrictions. You will never know what the person is truly capable of. You see, Bruce Lee didn't do sport martial arts for that reason. He was a real martial artist. I'm sorry I had to pause the video for a moment, but let me continue. Anyone that is a martial artist that's participating in sport martial arts competition, the fighting aspect, that is, there are many martial artists that are true to that title. They're great fighters in the sport aspect of karate or any other martial arts, and also in a street confrontation if presented with one. But there are some martial arts practitioners that are only good at sport martial arts fighting, and it does not translate in the street to real fighting. If you are a sports martial arts competitor as it relates to fighting, sport fighting in karate or some other martial arts form, and you believe that sports martial arts fighting is the same as street fighting, you are deceived. You're living an illusion, because it's not. It just so happens that there are some people that are great fighters who join the ranks of the martial arts world, particular styles and systems that were fighters already. They just stepped into another arena. And there are other people who joined the martial arts ranks in sporting events as a hobby, even as a career, but a career martial arts sports practitioner. It cannot be equated. It's not the same. Either you are a fighter or you're not. Either you are a sports martial arts fighter only, or you're a sports martial arts fighter who happens to be a fighter. as well. I hope I didn't confuse you. Now, I know from my experience that there are people that I have observed over the years that are sports martial arts fighters and good fighters in general in a street fight. Grandmaster Ed Brown, Cincinnati, Ohio. System, Shuriru. I believe he's a fighter as well as a great sports martial arts fighter. One of my instructors, Grandmaster Howard Bond. Heck of a street fighter, boxer, karateka. My judo instructor, rest in peace, Master Jerry Hill. Another great friend of mine who's deceased as well, Master Jerry Dubose. Grandmaster and Dr. Woodrow Fairbanks. Great fighter in sports and a great street fighter as well. Grandmaster Anthony Price. Great sports martial arts fighter and street fighter. The list goes on. Billy Blanks, I believe, was a great fighter all around. I believe Michael Jai White was a great martial arts fighter, both in the streets and in sports. John Claude Van Damme was one as well. And as I said, I can continue on. But the point that I'm getting at in this video is this. Just because you have won some championships in a martial arts sporting arena doesn't mean that you're a great street fighter. And just because you won some championships and you were hailed as a world champion, lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight karate champion, don't forget, it's sport. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good fighter in the street. And see, that's the mistake people have made with Bruce Lee in trying to label him as just an actor and saying that Bruce Lee never won a championship. He never fought anybody. But all of these people making these assessments and assertions are people who are cut from the sport martial arts cloth, as it were. Why didn't Bruce Lee participate in sports martial arts? Because he was a real fighter. That's really a no-brainer. If you don't know that by now, I'm sorry, and I feel ashamed for you because you don't get it. There is a division. There's a separation between the two. Real fighting, sports martial arts fighting. Two different things. There are some people who can do them both. There are some who are just a sports martial arts fighter only. Make the difference, please. So, when they say Bruce Lee was just an actor and he never fought anybody, who was he supposed to fight? Someone in an arena where you have rules, regulations, and guidelines, and having a referee and a timekeeper saying stop and start, stop and start, things that don't happen in the street. That's why he didn't participate in it. Why did Bruce Lee say, honestly, to me, martial arts is expressing yourself? He wanted to be the best version of him that he could possibly be as it related to the art of pugilism, fighting. And he did it. And a lot of people in the sports martial arts world around the time that he came up didn't like the fact that he stood out more than they did. That's why 20 years later, 30 years later, 40 years later, you have all of these people surfacing, coming out of the shadows, talking about, I could have beat Bruce Lee. He wasn't that good. He was not better than this person or that person. What championships did he win? And who did he fight? But they're all basing this on sports martial arts. Real fighting can get you killed. It can. So Bruce Lee knew this. He wasn't training in martial arts to be a sports martial arts champion, heavyweight, lightweight, middleweight champion of the world. That was not his thing. He was training to be what he really wanted to be, a true martial artist. That's it. And that is all. If you don't like what I said, I'm sorry. But I'm not. If you understand or comprehend what I just said, take it with a grain of salt. If it hurts a little bit, suck it in. You're going to come up with the same conclusion. He was what he was. One of the greatest. Comment, subscribe, like. This is Brother Teacher. I'm out.